Another question you need to ask the students: what should they look at when preparing for the IELTS exam? Most students obviously need to practice the exam itself, but it is essential that students do not just practice the exam, but focus on assessing their language ability in use. So it is important for the students not just to keep taking the exam again and again without seeking to improve their general linguistic competence. And how long does it take? There isn't really a hard and fast answer for this. Some students spend a week, some spend a year to achieve the level of competence they require. The students need to check what score band is required by the institution or the professional body they are intending to attend, or become a member of some professional organization, or even migrate to another country. It goes without saying that they need to be realistic about how quickly they can progress. Another question it, that pops into one's mind, that what does it mean to be creative in the context of IELTS classroom? I usually tell my students that you need to be not only be creative. Generally, the way I understand it, the creativity is often associated with producing and painting or sculpture or writing a novel, or with designing in a fashion or engineering, or indeed all aspects in life. But it is not something that automatically springs into one's mind, right? Yet, in an IELTS classroom, where students are preparing for the academic version of one of the writing tasks, most importantly, the writing tasks too, be creative, as well as learning what it takes to be so. This can really help them be flexible and increase their speed of writing. In a computer-based IELTS test is generally reflected with the typing speed, and that can really help you achieve the band you require. Helping students to use their creative side is about giving them the opportunity to express ideas, synthesize, evaluate them, and coming up with something new for themselves or perhaps for other people as well. This is a concept of creativity in the widest sense. Another question that the students need to ask themselves, that what prevents them from being creative? Some factors may be time restraints in courses, which might be 16, 20, or even 25 hours long. The desire to have a certificate rather than what it means. The focus on certificate acquisition rather than the language acquisition for its own sake. The belief that it is not possible to be creative on the part of the students and the teacher. The learning of the exam and the language rules that are learned for their own sake rather than the manipulation and not knowing what is expected in the exam, right? So you need to ask another question to yourself, being a student, then what are the downside for the lack of creativity? The students and the teachers are held in a straitjacket, which is frustrating at times. Stiffly hinders the processes, perhaps even leads to language fossilization, which is the term I often use when delivering the content to my students. That no matter how hard teachers and students try, they come up against a brick wall sometimes. process in language acquisition stops, so does the success in the learning process. I hope this answers most of the questions I actually asked. What impact can bringing creativity into an IELTS classroom have for students and the teachers? The best way to answer this question is a little creativity can help students engage, process, ultimately succeed in achieving the score bands they require. If we, as teachers, aim to turn students into independent learners and users of English language, we are basically equipping them not just for the exam, but for the future of their careers or their higher studies or even lives. In most English speaking universities, students are required to find things out for themselves. For example, in essay or report preparations, or even a thesis research. Preparing for an IELTS exam through rote memorization may therefore create unstable habits, which are very difficult to get rid of. So that doesn't mean that we should step aside with the rules and expectations. In fact, knowing those well should give the teacher and student the flexibility. In a way, you can use the straitjacket to give freedom and prepare for a student's success. Another one of the questions my students generally ask me that what are the long-term benefits of learning to write creatively beyond the exam room itself? I usually answer the long-term benefits for students being allowed and encouraged to use their creative streak to write is a greater enjoyment of using English in all four skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Right? Not learning what rules are or what is expected of candidates gives them the flexibility and spontaneously to react on questions in all four components of the exam. Finally, I really don't want any of you feel that you're not able to ask questions or make some smart suggestions. I truly welcome any ideas that any of you might have in your mind. So please feel free to ask any questions using the contact us section on our websites. That is www.australasianacademics.com. Or if you prefer to have a private one-on-one chat, please send me a note. I really appreciate the fast thinking. Thank you for your time.